Every year, anime gives us explosive shonen, romantic comedies, and isekai fatigue, and along with them comes something quiet, something that doesn't beg for attention but demands reflection. This year, it is Housenka, an original film directed by Baku Kinoshita, the director of ODDTAXI, slated to release on October 10, 2025, with the movie being animated by Studio Clap. In the autumn of 2023, Akutsu, an aging, forgotten inmate serving a life sentence, is nearing death in his prison cell. He receives no visitors, no calls, no letters, until one day a touch-me-not flower growing in his cell starts to speak. What rotten life you had, it says. The flower isn't an hallucination, it's real. And so begins a strange conversation between man and nature that takes Akutsu and us back to the summer of 1986. There we see a younger Akutsu living with Nana and her son Kensuke in a shabby apartment, surrounded by the same flowers, as we witness not the dramatic high points of a Yakuza life, but its quiet erosion, told through the eyes of a flower, a talking flower. Housenka has a world building leaning into 1980s Japan with the height of the Yakuza culture and even reflecting the bubble economy period, trying to portray the ephemeral life of good times and the decline that followed, with a focus on Akutsu's prison cell, his past, and maybe his future too. The idea of a Yakuza's final triumph, refracted through the bitter hindsight of old age, isn't new at all, often reflected in Japanese live action and anime too. Because what better than a criminal main character reflecting on a past filled with violence and mistakes? Based on Baku's own remarks, Housenaka is a deliberate pivot inward, while Odd Taxi thrived on interconnected city dynamics and narrative puzzles. Housenaka narrows its focus to three central characters and a confined space, with Baku describing it as a chance to depict his characters in higher resolution, not just visually but psychologically. Basically, it's not a film concerned with reinventing the gangster genre. Instead, it seems to be taking a slow burn exploration of memory and the effects of time, told through an elderly man talking to a flower in a moonlight cell. Baku has also clarified that this isn't a spiritual sequel to Odd Taxi, nor is it made for that fan base. This detachment is important because Housenaka might share some of Odd Taxi's tonal maturity, but viewers shouldn't go in Housenaka expecting the same. Going back to what exactly makes this movie different, what seemingly gives this movie a slight freshness is the other main character, the talking flower, specifically the touch me not flower, known for withdrawing upon contact. Screenwriter Kazuya adds that Hosenaka concerns a man who has lost the place he once called home, and the long silence between him and his lover. Into that silence, a single flower blooms, giving birth to words that are long withered away. It's about a quiet, unwavering prayer that may never receive an answer but was still offered. From the trailer, we see the flower serving somewhat as an external conscience, mocking and somewhat poetic in its observations and thoughts that Akutsu might not want to admit or think about. So expect the tone of the movie to be bittersweet. Akutsu, now the old Yakuza at the edge of death, a man whose life seems weighed down by quiet regret, unspoken memories, and the slow, inevitable passage of time, trying to represent the portion of people whose choices shaped their life in profound, irreversible ways. Some of those choices were mistakes, some were necessary compromises, but all of them have left marks which are connected through the character of Akutsu's supposedly last moments in prison. On the other hand, we have Nana, whom we also see glimpses of as now much older, revisiting the old house they both lived in. Nana, long separated from Akutsu and presumably having lived her own life since, maybe still finds herself drawn back to the decaying but familiar space that once held their fragile, flawed domesticity. The touch me not flowers are also seen in the old house, which has lived through both the happy and the sad, acting as a spiritual witness and maybe even a sign of miracle for something to change. Maybe this isn't a story of death and regret, but a story of rekindling something. Or maybe I'm just over analyzing shit that doesn't matter. Another interesting point to note is seeing the older Nana but not the older Kensuke in the trailer, so maybe it ain't a good ending after all. The character designs look way too similar to the Odd Taxi characters, which is quite obvious since they share the same character designer, but personally, all the unique looking they don't particularly suit my taste. Coming to what looks promising. From the trailer, the film studio work looks cohesive with studio collabs, prior feature, Pompo wasn't a showcase of super awesome effects, but it proved that the studio can deliver, despite it being a relatively smaller studio. Director Baku is known for the clean, deliberate, and character focused animation of Odd Taxi, with his ability to balance dry humor, human fragility, and grounded crime drama, making him a strong fit for this story, including the premise of retiring Yakuza's reflections. The story does involve a plot to steal a large sum of money, suggesting a more conventional crime drama with themes of honor among thieves, which might come off as generic and at odds with the quiet, introspective tone Baku aims to achieve. In addition, director Baku mentioned that the film was originally conceived as a short but expanded into a feature length film because the script was much longer, which might create a risk of pacing issues with a story that relies on flashbacks and a single location setting, which could in turn feel slow to some viewers. Personally, I would give the movie a try because I'm a sucker for stories based on regrets, and objectively, I do think Housenka is very likely to succeed as a quiet, character driven indie film, drawing modest commercial success. This movie, I feel, is best suited for fans of stories with a slice of life tone, for viewers who enjoy animation as a mature medium for exploring themes of regret, memory, and the human condition. If you enjoyed this video, then do consider subscribing to my channel for more.